Hi everyone, it's Dan here, Chartered Financial Planner. Now, if you're a business owner, maybe starting to think about retirement, but the idea of selling your business to a competitor, maybe a private equity firm or another third party, and that doesn't sit quite right with you, then you're not alone necessarily. There's quite a few people in a similar position, but there is an alternative that's growing in popularity, and that is the Employee Ownership Trust, or EOT for short. And in this video, we're going to be exploring how EOTs work, who it suits, and why it could be the ideal way for you to exit your business and at the same time protect its legacy. So what exactly is an EOT? Well, it's a special kind of trust that allows a majority of the company shares in a trading business to be held on behalf of all its employees. It's an ownership model that's supported by the government, and it was introduced formally back in 2014 to encourage more communal ownership of small and medium-sized businesses. Now, the scheme essentially encourages owners of small and medium-sized businesses who maybe are looking to sell their business to essentially sell it to employees indirectly through the EOT structure. Now, it's an alternative to selling to a third party or selling via something like a management buyout. The government gives some quite nice tax incentives to business owners who are considering selling to an EOT. We'll discuss a little bit of those a little bit more later. But examples of some firms that have actually transitioned to this structure. The most well-known one is John Lewis, but there's also some other well-known firms such as Richard Sounds and Riverford Organics. So why might a business owner choose an EOT over other methods of exiting a business? Well, it allows you as a business owner to exit that business on your terms without selling to an external buyer. It keeps your business culture intact and it protects the team that you've built. And as we've already mentioned, the tax advantages are quite nice, and that includes full capital gains tax relief on the sale of your shares. We quite often see EOTs chosen by business owners who care more perhaps about protecting the legacy that they've built rather than necessarily extracting the absolute maximum sale value that they might be able to achieve if they did something like selling to a competitor or to a private equity firm. If your sole concern is about maximizing sale value, then an EOT may not be the best fit for you. But we found that for founders who want to reward loyal employees and preserve the culture that they've built, then an EOT is often quite a nice solution. So to help us understand how an EOT might be structured, we're going to have a little look at a case study. I'm going to introduce you to Steve, who is a business owner that's looking to exit his very successful business. Steve's in his early 60s. Unfortunately, he's widowed with no children, so there's no children there to pass the business on. He runs a very successful logistics business, which employs around about 50 staff. Now, Steve owned 75% of the shares in that logistics business, and the remaining 25% of the shares are held by a couple of senior directors who just so happen to be quite close friends of Steve as well. Now, Steve doesn't want to sell his business or his 75% of the business to outsiders because he's concerned that they might just strip the business and potentially change the management. The other directors are unfortunately not in a position to be able to purchase Steve's 75% ownership of the business via a management buyout. So Steve decides that he's going to sell his shares to an EOT, preserving the company's ethos and way of doing business that's been built up over the last 30 years since he founded the business. And crucially, he's now got peace of mind over how he's going to exit that business and a clear path to his retirement that he's very much looking forward to. And as a bit of a bonus, he's got the added confidence that his business remains in good hands via the remaining directors and the team that he has built. So how does it work in practice? Well, the first step is to get an independent valuation. From there, the EOT can be established, ready to physically purchase the shares from you as the business owner. So in Steve's example, he got an independent valuation for his business that valued it at approximately £3 million. So his 75% share in the firm was 2.25 million. Now, there's lots of flexibility in terms of structuring both the business sale and the exit terms, but the key factor is that a controlling stake, i.e. at least 51% of the share capital in that business, must be sold to the EOT to qualify as an EOT held business. So as an example as how Steve structured his exit, okay, let's assume that his business at the moment has net profit after corporation tax of £300,000 a year. Well, that £300,000 a year gets paid tax-free to the EOT once the EOT owns the business, okay? And Steve has agreed, and the terms of the business sale to that EOT, that he's going to be paid £300,000 a year for the next 7.5 years. So that's a type of vendor financing. Essentially, Steve is loaning the business sale funds to the EOT. So that's known as deferred consideration. So he's going to get paid 300 grand a year for 7.5 years until the sale price is fully repaid. Now, Steve could decide to leave the firm immediately post-sale, or he could stay on for a period of time to ensure a smooth transition and maximise the chance of the EOT repaying the agreed sale price over that period of time. Because that deferred consideration, there is a risk to Steve that if things don't quite go according to plan with the business over the next few years, that it won't actually be able to repay him all of his sale proceeds. So essentially, the business does need a strong management team in place if Steve's going to exit on day one. But of course, he does have the flexibility to build in conditions about how much time he wants to give to the business post-sale, as long as the controlling stake is sold to the EOT. So there's lots of flexibility in how these deals can be structured. Now, in practice, the sale of a business to an EOT is often funded using a combination of deferred payments from future profits, i.e. vendor financing, surplus cash that may already be in the business, and external finance, such as a loan from a bank or a third party to either the EOT or the company itself. Now, which combination of these that are used will depend on several factors, including the seller's risk appetite, how much surplus cash the business has, and the EOT's capacity to raise finance if that's the avenue that they would like to explore. Now, the key features of an EOT-owned business are that the trustees are appointed to oversee the employee ownership trust, and the responsibility of the trustees is to act in the best interest of all the employees, and the trustee board will typically include the founder, employee representatives, and an independent trustee. Now, it's important to note that the employees are beneficiaries, they are not direct shareholders, and they will benefit through profit sharing and engagement with the business, often via something like a council or an employee forum. Now, company directors retain operational control of the business, but it's the trustees who are tasked with ensuring that the business is run sustainably and in line with the trust's purpose. Now, it's also quite common for the founder or the selling shareholder to provide a letter of wishes to express the business values, the guiding principles, or the business ethos that they want to continue once the business has transitioned to an EOT owned business. So it just gives you, as that business owner selling to the EOT, a bit of a say via an expression of wish letter about how you would like the business to be run moving forward. So what about tax? Well, one of the most significant tax benefits, as we've already mentioned, is that selling to an EOT is completely exempt from capital gains tax on the sale proceeds. This means that business owners can sell their shares to an EOT without incurring a CGT liability. Now, for many owners, this can result in substantial tax savings, especially when compared to selling shares through traditional third-party deals where CGT can reach up to 20%. In addition to that, once the business has transitioned to an EOT, that EOT can pay tax-free bonuses to employees of up to £3,600 a year. Now, to qualify as an EOT and gain those associated tax benefits, there are several qualifying conditions, but the main two to be aware of are that there is a controlling interest requirement, i.e. at least 51% of the business needs to be sold or needs to be held by the EOT, and there's also an equality requirement. Essentially what that means is that every eligible employee must benefit from the EOT on broadly the same terms. So is an EOT right for you? Well, if you're thinking about retiring or stepping back gradually over the next few years, and you really liked the idea of rewarding your team and allowing them to share in the success of the legacy that you've built, and you care very much about preserving your business's culture and value, and you also want a very tax efficient and flexible exit plan, then indeed an EOT could well be the right solution for you. So as you can appreciate, due to the complexity around selling a business to an EOT, or really selling a business at all, legal and financial advice is essential. Now, obviously, you're going to need a professional valuation conducted as part of the sale process. You're also going to need a solicitor who's going to manage all the documentation for you, such as the trust deed, the share purchase agreement, and the loan agreement, those sorts of things. And this is critical because compliance with HMRC's rules around EOTs is critical to securing the tax advantages that we've talked about. Now, a financial planner can also work with you quite closely to explore whether an EOT is right for you. We could collaborate quite closely with your accountant, your solicitors, and any other professionals to ensure that the process runs as smoothly as possible. And a financial planner can also help you to reinvest the proceeds if you need help with that to support your long-term planning objectives for yourself and your family. So if you're ready to start thinking quite seriously about your life after business, please do get in touch. We'd love to help explore the options with you. Thank you.